Hi everyone! We are going to be having the lovely Katie Colella on with us tonight, so I'm just going to wait for her to pop onto the live and then I'll add her in. And we are going to be talking about self-confidence online. So if there is anybody who has any questions, then obviously pop them in the chat below. I know I've had a question come through on Instagram, so I've got that written down next to me, so we will be answering that for anyone who obviously wants to see that. Can see someone's come on. Is that, can we add you in? Da-da. Is it gonna let us? If you want to pop a little message in the box if you are there, Katie. Cool. There we go. And we will add you.
Hello.
Hello.
Sorry, the notification wasn't coming up. I could see you were there, but I was not getting a notification to join, so a bit of a nightmare, but we're here.
Super. Thank you for joining me. So I was
Thank
just
you for having
saying
me.
to anyone who is watching, this is Katie Colella, and I've done a live on your page before, just before Christmas, wasn't it? So,
Yes, I think it was.
And I've been on some training as well that you ran, and I absolutely loved it because you are a very
Excellent.
public speaker, or talking all about self-confidence, visibility online. So I thought you were sort of the perfect person to have on tonight, so you could share all your experience with my audience as well. So
Excellent. Thank you for having me.
we have a little question that came through on Instagram, which we can answer later. But maybe first you want to just talk a little bit about you, who you are, what you do.
Sure. So hi everyone who's watching or watching the replay later. I'm Katie, as Jade said, and I'm a business mentor and sales funnel strategist working with women in business, mainly online businesses. And I help them get from where they are to where they want to be, filling in all those tech and mindset gaps along the way. So a lot of what I do is tech-based sales funnels, email marketing, social media, all that kind of stuff. But then inevitably along the way, lots and lots of mindset stuff always pops up. Lots of self-confidence always comes along, and it does seem to be a reoccurring theme, especially with women, I think, that do kind of struggle with the whole mindset and self-confidence, and hand in hand with being visible and having the confidence to be visible, which you need to do in order to run a successful business. So yes, it is a reoccurring theme that pops up a lot.
Yeah, definitely. And I'd say probably with the work I do, very similarly to you, although I don't just solely work with women in business, but just women in general have a whole issue around self-confidence, and it's a real problem. And particularly
Definitely.
with online, we had a little chat beforehand, didn't we? We've got lots of little tips and things that we can give you guys.
Yeah.
If you're kind of thinking, yeah, self-confidence, that's me, that's something I want to work on. Definitely, whether that's online or in person, you can definitely take some of these tips and apply them.
Definitely.
So
yeah, definitely.
Sort of start with, why do you think people sort of have this issue around being visible, that self-confidence issue? What is it, do you think, that's causing women?
There's so many different things, but I know we just spoke for a couple of minutes before, and we both kind of said a lot of people compare themselves constantly. We look around, and in this online world, there's so many other people doing what we might aspire to do or what we are doing, and we constantly compare ourselves. Even if we're at that first point of our journey, we compare it to their 50th step in their journey, and they might be 5 years on in their journey than us, but we still compare ourselves. We look at what other people are doing. We end up procrastinating and not doing anything, and we end up kind of getting really, really stressed at, well, they're doing this, and we end up flitting from one person to the next. We don't know. We look at people for inspiration, which is fine, but instead of concentrating on a couple, we tend to flip from one to the other and fill our in. And again, we had this conversation, and I had a client this week again that spoke to me and said, her inbox was just full of so many different people, so many different coaches and mentors, for instance, and they were all giving maybe different advice or in a different way, and or some of it was just repeated in the same way, and she just felt that it was really, some of it was conflicting. She didn't know who to believe, and it just can be so overwhelming and take up so much of your time. You end up doing nothing yourself, which obviously does nothing for your self-confidence, does nothing for your mindset, and then you feel like inferior. You feel like you're not good enough, you're not doing enough, you're not doing that thing, so you must be rubbish because they're saying you need to do that thing and you can't do that thing, or you haven't done that thing, and then you sit there worrying you haven't done that thing. And obviously it just spirals out of control. And I think we just put so much pressure on ourselves as women to kind of be and do everything as well. You know, and lots of women obviously have children and jobs or businesses, and a lot of women still do take, I think, the main role at home and so forth. And there's just so much kind of going on, and I think we all feel we have to be superwoman at every single thing in our lives, and it's so difficult to juggle them all. And it's okay sometimes to kind of go, yeah, do you know what, I'm having a bit of difficulty, or need help, or to ask for help, which again, we're rubbish at doing. So yeah, there's lots of different things I think that definitely affects the old confidence.
I think as well, like as I was growing up, there was a lot of things in the media about, so like not just social media, but actual magazines, how they're airbrushing things, and you're constantly comparing yourself to what we think is real, which actually isn't.
Isn't.
Literally just got so much worse with the introduction of things like Facebook and Instagram, where
Definitely.
and you're going, wow, she looks amazing. Yeah,
Yeah.
she's got filter all over her face.
Exactly. That's the thing. I mean, I grew up, I'm 37, so I didn't grow up in the social media world, and thank God we didn't. I mean, I had just 17 and heat, and that was probably the worst it got, really. Whereas my stepdaughter, who's 18, you know, I remember 2 years ago, we're getting kind of quite upset and just thinking, oh my God, I'm not going to be like that Instagram. And it's like, it's not real. And I can see, I'm okay with that. That doesn't seem to bother me on the whole. But for her age group, growing up with that, it's been a real struggle for her, you know, and I completely see it. And I'm so glad I wasn't a teenager with all the hormones and everything else in that era, or in this era, with all that extra, and it is extra massive pressure, extra stress, extra, you know, comparatitis, is that the word? Because, you know, but you, like you said, everything is, I love like Stacey Solomon, because she is so real on a Instagram and so forth. And if any of you haven't had chance to see it, scroll back down, but there's like a shot of the back of her that was in a bikini. You know, she's got some rolls like the most of us, from the back, but it's all been airbrushed out and given this tiny little hourglass waist, and, you know, and she had some moles and stuff, and they airbrush those out. And then she went, yeah, this is the real me, and I prefer the real me. And it was amazing. Did you see it? It was fantastic. And it was obviously all of the media as well. But I just love the fact that she's like, yeah, this is the real me. Don't believe this that you see, because this is me, and I'm quite happy. You know, if I've got a bit of back fat, that's okay as well. I've got moles. Like, hello, it's making out there's something wrong with this mole she's got. But yeah, so it's an awful lot of extra pressure out there at the moment.
Yeah, and there's something I always talk to the ladies about that I work with, and I call it social media syndrome, and it is literally that, just like what we've been talking about, is the fact that everyone who posts on there, even if they're not in business, it might just be your friends or people you went to school with, you see all these photos on there and you think, wow, they've got this lovely husband and these lovely children, they've got an amazing job.
Yeah.
No, they are putting their highlights on there. They're not showing you the day when they're slobbing it out in their pajamas and they can't be bothered to get dressed. So you're comparing all of your outtakes, all the bad things that happen in your life.
Yes.
A tiny little snippet of what you see
get to
of their
see.
Life. Yeah.
So
it's
true.
Not real. It's not a
I just put on my stories just now. I've put a nice top on because I'm going live with Jay tonight, but I've in pajama bottoms. So I'm keeping it real, like waist down. I had really uncomfortable jeans on. I was like, what's the point? It's 8 o'clock on a Sunday. Yeah. No one's going to know, even though I've just declared to everybody. But yeah, that's the thing, isn't it? Like you said, we all do compare the whole, everything, including all the bad bits. Very, very good point. I'm loving that. I'm taking that to this small kind of snippet.
It is. Yeah, definitely. So sort of, how do you think people can overcome this? Because I know the sort of tips that I give to my clients that I work with, but what are the tips you give to the women you work with?
I think, first of all, accept who you are as a person and kind of get over the fact that you need to be there. So you need to be there and stop trying to be somebody else. I think the minute you kind of accept yourself as you, warts and all, and, you know, the fact that you might say on a video and, oh, I hate my voice, and I feel like I need to have my makeup done, and all these other things. I think the minute you kind of just go, yeah, I am me, and that's that. You know, obviously I'm well, so I talk really, really fast. And I think when I started off, I used to try and really speak a little bit nicer, and I'd really slow my speech down. I was like, oh my God, this is tiring. You know, it's not me, and I am all like this. And I just thought, so what? Just be me. You know, and if people resonate with that and relate to that, that's fine. If they don't, then that's fine as well. That's their prerogative. But I think the minute you decide to kind of be you is a massive turning point. And it is a choice. It is a decision to kind of just do that. Obviously practice and stepping outside your comfort zone and doing all these lots of different things with the confidence side of things will build your muscle, you know, your brain into getting past it. And whether that's practicing with friends or a colleague or a little buddy you meet online, you know, for it lives, for instance, you know, everybody to start with hates doing lives. I think everyone, I don't ever watch myself back ever as a rule, because I know I'll start nitpicking. So as a rule, I just kind of do it and then chuck it out there and see what happens. Yeah, exactly. It's done, isn't it? I'm not going to take it down. I'm not going to change it. So I can't edit it. So what is the point in looking and kind of being negative towards yourself? So I just run with it. So, and once I think the more you do it, obviously, the more relaxed you get into it, the more you feel at ease with it, and the more you just accept yourself for who you are. You know, surrounding yourself with positive people. If you've got people around you that are negative, that are kind of helping, you know, we all do enough self-talk without other people's kind of negativity on ourselves coming in. So if you're allowing other people to be around you that are negative, that's clearly going to affect your self-confidence. So if it, you know, if it's home life or something that is difficult to change, make sure you're surrounding yourself in work or business or friends that are there to kind of be more positive in your life and support you. Just basically bringing more and more positivity and mindset stuff into the day-to-day life. I used to not do any mindset stuff at all up until a few years ago. And now I do try and make it part of my everyday life, even if it's just watching a motivational video or somebody I like and inspire me, you know, going live, or just, you know, watching that, listening to a podcast, whether it's journaling, meditation, anything that kind of helps you get past it. There's lots of guided visualizations, for instance, about helping you feel more confident. And they'll just help take you through, you know, the thought process and help you get past that stage where, you know, you're second guessing yourself all the time. But I think one of the main things is being aware of this self-talk that we do constantly. You know, we're constantly doing it to ourselves all the time. You know, I could constantly sit here on this video going, the angle's wrong, look at my double chin. But what is the point? It's already live, can't do anything about it. So instead of doing that, you know, every time you catch us, I had literally had this conversation on the way to school with my children the other day, and I was saying, you know, obviously we have these negative self-talk, but in their mind they didn't do it as much as children. And they were like, well, we do it sometimes, Mum. And I was like, well, everyone does it all the time. They were like, we don't. And because they were children, naturally they don't tend to do it as much. But as adults, we do constantly kind of give ourselves barrage of abuse, you know, in some ways. You know, and a weight is a big one for women. So often, you know, oh, you look fat in that, or you don't look good in that, or oh, your skin's disgusting, or God, you should put makeup on, or you look tired, whatever it is. And sometimes these thoughts just go on autopilot. We don't even think about it. But if you do be aware and more conscious, more mindful, I think, of what's going through your mind, you can stop it and just go and stop berating yourself and just say, right, enough, you know, and turn it around into more positive comment to yourself and just say, do you know what, I do like you actually as a person. I'm really proud of you as a person. And you know, you feel a bit daft sometimes to start with, but it's okay to be your own number one fan. And I think if you're not your own biggest cheerleader, then who is going to be at the end of the day? So the negative thoughts, I think, turn those into positive thoughts is one of the main areas that is quite an easy one to work on. But to keep working on.
I absolutely love all of those ideas, and that one in particular really resonates with me, and I do a lot of work on that, because you are literally your harshest critic. No one else dares say the things that you say to yourself.
No, I know, it's terrible.
I say to my clients, I'm like, okay, but you've just told me that, but if you said to your best friend exactly the same thing, what would they say to you? And it's about, like you said, finding out what are those little self-confidence doubts you've got. Is it standing in front of a room of people because you're worried about the way you speak? Like you said, do I speak too fast? Or is it the way you look? Whatever it is, and then imagine you're your friend and the roles are reversed. What would you be saying to them? Because like, you've got to be your own best friend. You've got to be that person that says, it's okay, because you're kind of comparing yourself to something, whether it's someone else who's better at public speaking, and you're saying, well, I can't be as good as them, so why even try? You know, why should I bother trying, because I'm never going to be as good as them? But how long have they been doing it for?
Exactly.
So looking at those little things and saying, these are the issues that I feel I've got at the moment, and actually let's throw them away. Let's completely
get rid of them. Don't give them the time
going on. Do
you know what I did? I got asked to do a speaking opportunity in November in London for a friend and colleague, and I was really, really nervous, and a headline speaker had dropped out. I'd never done it before, so I got replaced as this headline speaker, which was just like ridiculous because I'd never done it. I've always had a kind of secret desire to be on stage and do public speaking, but it was kind of like 5 years in the distance. So I can't explain how far out of my comfort zone it was. I was absolutely in tatters. I was evil to live with the 5 days running up to. I found out on the Tuesday I was doing it. This was on the Saturday, so it was really short process. And I told both my children, I won't go into it now, but they both kind of dismissed it with just like, get a grip, basically, mum. So I told this story, which really loosened the audience up when I got to the time. But there was two things that I really hung up on. And the one was the fact that I was using cards, because nobody else had used cards all day. And I'd only had since the Tuesday. Obviously, a lot of these speakers had a bit more time to prepare. And I know myself, and I knew I would go up there and I'd forget my words if I didn't have the cards. So for me, it was almost like I had to have that security blanket with me to have the cards written down. And second of all, I was really, really nervous, like stupidly, like really wavery voice. And I just thought, right, okay, everyone's going to be nervous. Yes, a lot of them have done it before. But I spoke to the lady who I followed is a professional public speaker. So joy of joys. I was following this lady that does this for a living. She was phenomenal. But she was really, really helpful to me before. And she gave me loads of tips. And she just said, and I said about the cards, I've got a real issue with it. And she said, so what? She said, I'm a public speaker, like professionally, for the first year and a half of my public speaking side of the business. I used cards. And that was it. As soon as she told me that, I was like, if Anna can do it and she's professional, I can do it. But also to help me kind of deal with it, because I'm sat in there, so as soon as I got up on stage, I kind of felt like people would judge, and you know what, they were a lovely group, really, really lovely atmosphere. I knew they weren't, I knew they'd been supportive, but obviously it's that people are looking at you, they know you're nervous. So I just thought, you know what, I'm just going to tell you. So I literally said straight away, just so you know, I'm absolutely breaking it. And then I went, and do you know what, I'm going to break the mold and use my cards. And I felt better straight away because I had got my own fears out. And then I thought, no one can judge me. No one can say, well, she's really nervous. Yeah, I've already told you I am. No one can say, oh, she's having to use cards. I've already told you. So just by getting my own fears out and sharing them, actually, they gave me a little clap and it really resonated with people. And again, it just showed that my vulnerability, I was raw and real. And, I was actually bricking it, but that's okay. So, that was another little tip as well, is it's okay to tell people you're scared. That's absolutely, and the vulnerability, it's okay to not feel 100% in your comfort zone when you're doing things.
Definitely. And I think as well, with like the whole visibility and you being able to say that to people resonate with it because it's natural to feel nervous about something you've never done before.
Exactly.
Nerves are it's an emotional response to a situation. And that's fine. The more you do it, the more comfortable you're going to get with it.
Yeah.
But everyone just expects the first time, she's been this online personality, I've seen her, so she's going to feel completely comfortable up there. I could never do what Katie's doing because I'm not Katie and she's really good at it. But actually inside, for you to share that, it just shows the feeling's natural, everyone feels it. And it could probably, all of those people sat there watching you then thought, you know what, I could do that. Maybe I could do that. Maybe I could get up there and do exactly what they're doing. Which is
exactly. Exactly. So whenever I watch people from an audience, I'm always like, oh my God, even if you see a bit of nerves, you just think, oh, they're so inspirational, and how amazing. So yeah, exactly. Quite right.
Okay. So the other sort of thing I was going to ask is, why should we be visible online? Obviously with businesses, it might be a bit more simple, but maybe if we look at business women first, why should they be visible online? And then maybe we can look at everyone else as well. Why is it important for mums and just women in general to start sharing online and get visible?
I think businesswoman side of things, for me, if you're not visible, you haven't got a business, and I don't think you can really succeed in business. I certainly think it's very difficult because if you're not visible, people don't know you even exist, and you could be the best person at what you do in the world, but if you're not kind of shouting your own self and going, yay, look at me from the rooftops, then they don't know you're there. And there's so many amazing, it's concentrating on women, there's so many amazing women out there doing amazing things. Totally overusing the word amazing tonight, but there's so many women doing these fantastic things that go unnoticed because they're not being visible. And I think people are so scared of putting themselves out there in the fear of judgment or failure, or whatever it may be, that we kind of hang back and hold back and don't put ourselves out there. And you need to in order to be, successful. And there's lots of different ways to be visible. And I think visibility goes hand in hand with being consistent as well, because if you're being visible but you're not being consistent with it, then again, a waste of time really. But yeah, certainly for business women, you need to be out there to show people you even do exist, and to share with them your talents, because you're doing everyone a bit of a disservice if they're looking for you or someone that's got your skills and talents and you can help them, but they don't know where to find you.
And it sort of helps them to resonate with you as well. Just show them that this is the real me, not just the business me, but show your business customers the real you, the personality behind whatever the business is.
That's it. People buy from people, don't they?
Yeah, we're not saying you have to share everything. We'll go into
Yes.
that later. But yeah, just share enough that they go, oh, do you know what? I really like her. Yeah, I could consider working with her because I can relate to her and I'd get on with her.
Definitely.
So
And that's the most important thing. I mean, people always buy from people, you know, whether you're product, service based business, whatever it is. And you know, I think if you don't relate to that person, you're not going to go with them. And I honestly think a lot of different professions, the skills can kind of be taught and you can learn things. But if you don't gel and resonate with that person from the off, that relationship just won't work, you know, especially if it's a relationship that needs to be nurtured and work over a longer period of time. So for me, I think it's the number one thing.
yeah,
You do need to resonate and relate. And like you said, if you're not being visible, how are you going to do that, you know, to show people? And we were chatting before, like we said, and we both said, you know, we've had people say to us that we're relating to them or they're resonating with us because of ourselves being just completely ourselves and
yeah,
authentic, you know, sharing our
yeah,
ups, our downs, you know, all the good bits, the bad bits, not just the highlights, and just being our real selves rather than blending into the mass. I think a lot of people that are trying to be the same person.
yeah.
So yeah, share your real authentic you.
And I'll share, I don't think I've shared this before on my page, but for the first couple of months of my business, I didn't have any paying clients, but I wasn't visible. I had a page and I posted quotes
Yep.
and started scheduling things, but I did no video because I was a bit like, oh, I don't know if I want to put myself out there. I don't know if I want to do it. As soon as I started putting myself out there, doing videos, not just business videos, giving people information, but actually videos about me and getting people to know my story a little bit more and what I'd been through,
Yep.
all of a sudden they related to me. And then December was my first month, I was fully booked. January now, fully
Fantastic.
booked. And that's because I'm getting out there, I'm
Fantastic.
visible because I'm on video.
Love it.
So that's what you have to do. And like me and you have obviously linked because I've
Yep.
seen you online, you've seen me online. So we've seen each other, we've made business links, and that's how it works. Network online by being visible.
Hugely. Yep.
Yeah.
Hugely. And I think, you know, well, still within visibility topic, but, you know, making those connections and leveraging other people's audiences, and working and getting in front of other people's audience whilst making those collaborations
Yeah.
is probably the number one way to grow. I would say, you know, there's lots of other, obviously different methods, strategies and so forth, but for me, it's worked really, really well. Not just about growing the business, but it's been amazing to meet other like-minded women that are on a similar path, that are just, you know, a step above or around the same or whatever it may be. But it's great to surround yourself with people who understand business, for me, and also, like I said, to make collaborations like this and be able to share with each other's audiences and help each other out. So definitely.
And I think if you're worrying self-confidence wise and thinking, do you know what, she's not going to relate to me. When I saw you the first time, I was like, wow, she's an expert. She really knows what she's talking about. She's never be interested in hearing from someone like me. And you said in the video, if anyone wants to reach out to me, reach out to me.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure if anyone else did who watched it, but I was like, do you know what? I'm
They
just going to
did.
do it. I'm
Yeah,
just
exactly. But that's the thing, and that's a massive point, isn't it? Because so you saw me in another group, didn't you, doing a class on something visibility? Yeah. And I think everyone, this all just perception, isn't it? Of oh, I couldn't possibly, you know, ask them this or reach out to them. And for me, if people come to me and say, oh, do you want to do this, or do you want to come and do a guest slot, or can I go on your whatever I'm doing at the time? It's easier for me than I'm to go and find people. So that's what the point being. And you did, and we did, because at the end of the day, is like you said, as long as you connect and gel with that person and resonate with what they're kind of saying, then win-win. You know, I don't believe in kind of all this. And I still do it. I still look at, I use the wrong kind of terminology all the time. I say to people, my husband all the time, oh, she's really high up coach. And he's like, will you stop this high up business? And stop, he said, you're doing it in almost a derogatory way to yourself and bringing yourself down here because they're all the way up here, you know? It's, again, it's just a perception thing, isn't it? And it is a mindset thing that I do even automatically. And then I have to catch myself and say, okay, let me just catch myself and stop comparing to someone who I perceive to be here, but actually you don't even know anything about them behind the scenes. You don't know necessarily what's real. And unfortunately, in the online kind of space, there is a lot of rubbish out there. You know, you don't always know what is true and what isn't. So I think take everything with a pinch of salt, like you said. And like you said, a lot of people just sharing the highlights and that small snippet of their highlights. So don't take everything I think you see as gospel. And I think it comes across. On the whole, I do think you see the people that are real. And sometimes it takes you a while. You get a little bit kind of sucked into the whole thing, and then all of a sudden you just think, you know what? Yeah, so I can see some holes, I can see some cracks, and
Yeah, yeah, that's it. And the other thing then, obviously looking at not just business women, but women in general, maybe women who have families. We were talking a little bit about that, weren't we? About being
yeah,
visible online. And both of us saying like our personal pages, not necessarily wanting to post that much because you're like, well, who have I got on my page? What am I putting out there? And even though it's your closed personal Facebook page, who's actually seeing it? So what sort of things would you say? Why should someone be visible online, on Facebook, on Instagram, if they're not in business, if they're just a normal
I
woman?
think that's obviously the woman or the person in themselves. You know, if you want to be visible and kind of, I think for a lot of women, it's almost a platform to be somebody else,
Yeah,
as opposed to just a man or just a wife or just the person who's employed or whatever. And we've all got these lots of labels. And I think for some people, it gives them that platform to be something for themselves. You know,
yeah,
and I think as mums and employees or business owners, you know, we can lose that mojo and we can fall out of love with ourselves a little bit at times. And I think sometimes it gives people the platform to be able to do that. And, you know, you see people who start off random kind of accounts on Instagram and Facebook, and all become a brand and become a business off the back of it, and maybe never even started off with that intention. Someone like, what's her name? The Hinch lady, you know, the
oh,
cleaning lady.
like,
And she just started off, from what I know about the story, you know, sharing her cleaning tips and a bit OCD about cleaning. And look at her now, you know, she's doing amazing. So yeah, so I think it's up to the individual. I don't think you should be pressured to be visible if you haven't. I think in business, I do think you need to, but again, you can be a bit more selective with what you choose. If you're not in business, I didn't, for, you know, for my thought, I've always been in business, but my personal Facebook, I never used to share anything, and I still don't share a huge amount now. You know, I don't share too much of my children and so forth, but then the settings are there. You know, if you want to keep in contact with your friends and so forth, you've got the settings to choose nowadays, you know, who you show to, everything. You know, you can pick and choose absolutely everything. So you can just be a bit more conscious, I think, and cautious about what you're doing if you're afraid of kind of the security side of things.
I think sometimes it kind of, you can put pictures up on your Facebook, and maybe those people you haven't had time to catch up with in ages, it sort of starts that conversation again, doesn't
Yeah,
it?
it
Like
is
you've
nice,
been
isn't
so
it?
busy with your life, and then they go, oh wow, we'll have to catch up now. Because a lot of
Yep.
the people that I sort of see are get quite isolated sometimes. So you might be a mum, you maybe aren't working, you're at home,
Yep.
and you're thinking, oh, do you know what? I take children to school, I'm at home, I do the cleaning, I take the children, I pick them up, I bring them home, and you don't actually get
Can
to
be
do
quite
it.
lonely.
So
Yeah.
yeah, definitely reaching out to people maybe who you've lost touch with. It helps you to sort of develop that and meet people, so you're not so isolated. So
Yeah,
that's quite
definitely.
nice as well. It's
It's
not
a great, it's, and social media, I think, does get a lot of negative press, but there are some amazingly positive aspects of it as well. Like you said, you know, you can really meet, I think, whatever community you're looking for, whether that is as a mum or, you know, if you've got a specific need, like your child has some learning difficulty or something, you want to meet other people in that position, or maybe an illness or something, you know, you can find anybody, I think, out there that is in that position, help groups,
yeah,
community support and so forth, whatever you're looking for. So yeah, definitely.
yeah. And we had a question come through as well, which I've written down. So, how can you increase visibility while staying safe online? Obviously, we touched on that a little bit, but I don't know if you want to expand maybe, because that was from a business owner who's sort of
Yeah,
starting out on the visibility journey.
I think it's a great question, and it's a really
Yeah,
difficult one to answer. And we touched on it just now before we went live. And it's difficult because you need to be visible, but you can be selective about what you share. I think if you're sharing about, you know, my last business was products, so it was generally the products I was sharing, and I did show myself as the face of the brand, but I was there doing videos showing the product and so forth, and talking about that. With a service-based business, it does need to be me that's being shown, and there's no product to kind of hide behind. And I think I had to become more, I had to accept that I had to become the face of the brand, because I kept trying to hide behind quotes and stuff, like you said as well. And actually, the people that saw me, whether it was videos or on photos, they get the most interaction by far.
yeah,
And if I wasn't showing up as me, I could see I wasn't getting the interaction if I was using like a stock photo and so forth. So I had to kind of get past that. But what I don't tend to do is use my children and so forth. I'm still quite picky about what I choose, what I share. And I don't kind of put all my personal life onto Facebook or Instagram. I give a snippet because I do think people resonate, like you said, with and they get this such a fine line, I think, in that balance, getting it right, but you haven't got to give everything. And also, like we said, with your private Facebook and so forth, picking and choosing what you share and who you share with, if you just want to share with your audience or your friends and so forth. And if you get to the stage where you are getting any negative backlash or people that are a bit more undesirable, just block and move on. Don't give it the time of day, don't give it any energy. I just kind of go, yeah, bye, block, delete, gone, out of your mind, rather than dwelling on it. And I think as you get bigger and you get more visible, you inevitably attract more negativity, because there are some people out there that are just on this planet to do that. But don't give it the time of day, and a lot of people turn it around on its head and kind of go, well, do you know what, I'm getting more visible, I'm getting bigger because I'm attracting that negativity. Just look at it a different perspective. But I do think it's a really difficult a question to answer, because visibility, you are increasing your risks possibly. But yeah, just be more, I think, conscious and more aware of what you are actually sharing and putting out there.
Yeah, I definitely agree with all of that, and sort of think, if you have a plan, so have a plan when you're starting out on your visibility journey, and say, do you know what, I feel comfortable if I share this aspect of my life.
Yeah.
But maybe, like you said, with your children, you don't necessarily want to be sharing that. Some people will be fine with it, some won't. That's fine. You decide where your boundaries are. And
yes.
then what platforms are you going to use? If you obviously put something on Twitter, it's out there a lot more. But you can, if you're using Facebook and you've got a Facebook group and it's a closed group, you sort of are an admin then, and you can say, okay, these are the people I've allowed in the group. There's sort of an element of trust there, because you probably have people signed up saying you can only post nice things, you're not allowed to be abusive. And then if they are abusive, you can kick them out. So you have that option. So it's not like it's going to be completely out to the whole world. That said, you have to remember that people can screenshot things. So once you put it online, whether it's a closed group or whatever, people can take photos. So just be mindful before you put it on.
Definitely. We were just saying, earlier about just being conscious about what you're putting out there as well. There's being controversial and there's being controversial. And I think sometimes that can attract a lot of negativity, and getting too personal in your opinions on things that really shouldn't matter to you that much, but that will affect other people. Like, I don't know, judgment on about parenting or religious views and politics and so forth. Just the areas that I think on the whole give a little bit of thought to, in terms of what you're putting out there, that might come back and bite you in the bum.
Yeah, that's it. Because if you're in the business of something which involves you being, I don't know, in the news industry, for example, yes, you can have an opinion and voice, that's fine. But you're probably a little bit more tougher skinned and able to deal with whatever they have thrown at you. Whereas if you're working in a different industry, you might not necessarily need that, because it's not relevant. You don't need to start talking about Brexit on your page, because it has nothing to do with, your business. So you don't want to be winding up people who potentially could be your ideal client.
Exactly, just because of the different view. Yeah,
definitely. And also, with what I was thinking along the lines of is, when someone on your page posts something negative, you will remember that one little negative thing that they post. There could be 200 other comments on your page that are all positive, but you'll remember that one negative thing. And that's what you've got to forget. You've got to think, do you know what? I put myself out there, and there's all these fabulous people that are following me, that like my advice, that listen to me. And that one little person, they don't matter, because they are not my ideal client. They are not my friend. They are not the person I want to engage with. I don't resonate with them. Clearly, they don't resonate with me.
Exactly.
That's fine.
And that goes back to the confidence thing as well, I think, of remembering those good things, and also sharing your wins is another great kind of tip. And being aware of those wins, because when we have those days where we're a bit down or low, or or you've had a negative comment or something, if you've got somewhere where you've got screenshots of all the nice bits, or you've shared on your own Facebook page or Instagram, just go through there. Like I always share or try to remember to always share any little things that are said nice to me, feedback and so forth. And I've then got my Instagram highlights. I could just go and have a little flip there, remind myself, well, actually, all these people said you're really good at this. So if there is any negativity, and I'm lucky, so, I haven't got too much at the moment, but if there is anything that's even irritating me, or a client that might not be as, maybe even just polite as I would normally like to deal with people, or is just pushing the boundaries a little bit, and I've had that a bit this week. And even something like that, I can just go back and just remind myself of all the nice things and the positive things. And that's, it's like a little brag file of your own. A lot of people keep a little notebook and just jot down all the nice things people have said, whether it's a business or as you as a person, you know, just jot them down, because it's good to remind yourself, I think, when you're having a bit of a down day or a down hour, to go and have a look and just go, actually, you know, look at this positive. So yeah, we've kind of come back, right? Yeah, little brag files. We used to do them in school. I'm sure we used to have like brag files in school. You used to have to put all your certificates and stuff in, like when you were 16. So yeah, always have a little brag file or something. You know, I've like, obviously we can be more digital now. It doesn't have to be in a notebook format, but whatever works for you, just have a little look. And another great exercise as well is to write down, you know, if you ever do any journaling or anything, but to write down 20 things you love about yourself, 20 things you're proud of about yourself, 20 achievements, you know, and all these good stuff. And it's really difficult to do. I find it really hard to kind of write down. And then, you know, again, if you're having a bit of a day where you're not feeling your best or you're not feeling as confident, you know, have a little look through and remind yourself of these things. What do you love about yourself? When the negative talk starts, and you're saying, oh, you're this, you're that, go and have a look at your things you do love about yourself, or you're proud of, that, you know, or you've achieved in your life, and you think, yeah, do you know what, I've done good on that. So yeah, having these bits, I think, around you can just really help to uplift you when you are having a bit of a down day and having a bit of a crisis.
When you're writing those things as well, with my clients, I always outline where are we now and where we want to be. And it's really difficult to remember to remain in the positive and the future. You know, this is what I am, this is what I'm going to be. So you've really got to kind of be a bit more mindful of that. So if you say, you know, I want to be positive about this and this is my statement, just make sure it is a positive statement, that you're not doing like a double negative. You know, I will not feel anxious. I will not be confident. You know, actually, you are confident. I am confident. And tell yourself that every single day.
Exactly, because I think we do get so used to saying stuff like, oh, I'm not confident in this, and oh, I could never do that. We'd stop telling yourself that, you know, and start saying, you know, yeah, I can go live, or I can put myself out there, or I am a confident person. And again, you know, you don't even believe it to start with, but keep on, and it does start to sink in your subconscious, and you start saying it in more emotion. You know, look in the mirror and tell yourself, and it's just a really hard exercise, you know, telling yourself these things in the mirror. I think it's almost like, got nowhere to hide. But it can really be quite effective in starting to sink into your own mind and starting to believe what you're telling yourself, you know, and record your own voice as well. It's another tip. We've come out with more as we've gone along, but you know, recording especially your own voice, because obviously we believe our own voice a bit more. Just listen to it in the morning or evening before you go to sleep, and all the good things, you know, start to rewire our own brains to believe the positive rather than the lacking the confidence or the lack of self-belief. So
it's interesting, the more you work with the mind, like probably about 3 years ago, you've spoken to me and you said, you know, you can be whatever you want to be. You can feel however you want to feel. I'd be like, yeah, okay, whatever, you know, because I never believed it. I didn't realise it was possible to literally train your mind to be how you want it to be. And then once you start to learn, actually, I can do this, and implement all the strategies that you talked about tonight, you can do it. You can totally change it, and you can be that person you want to be. We've got a comment here. Oh, I like this. I really want to start journaling. You're a pro at it, but I prefer the extra 20 minutes sleep in the morning. I need to change my habits. I love that.
Do you know, I've really fallen off the bandwagon with it, I'll be completely honest. I used to get up half an hour early before the children to meditate, do some affirmations, gratitude list. And then I think I just fell off the bandwagon at some point in the autumn. And then I was like, I said to my son yesterday, he said, right, we're going to get up early tomorrow, Mum, to do our meditation. And I was like, yeah, we're going to get back to it. And it's not that I won't necessarily do it throughout the day, but I quite like that routine of doing it. But it's just a choice, isn't it? You know, it's just, we all just like, oh no, we need this snooze, we need the snooze. And I'm terrible for it, you know. I'm not sitting here saying I'm not, but yeah, I just think it's just a choice of doing it. And I think once you've done it, then I did it religiously for like a year and then fell off the bandwagon like that. So it's so easy to do. And I prefer, I don't know about you, Jade, I prefer what they call journal prompts. I'm not very good at kind of free journaling. I don't know, I'm always like, oh, I don't know what to concentrate on. Whereas if I've got some journaling prompts, I find it easier to concentrate on them and react to them. What do you do?
I'm very similar doing that, and I've also sort of scheduled it into my phone now. So I came across Google Calendar. One of my friends said you have to use Google Calendar, and it's brilliant because you can schedule stuff like that in. So I get this little reminder. I've scheduled my whole life, literally hour by hour, in there. That tells me. But that way you can find time to do things like that. You can
Yes.
find time for you, because it's so easy not to find time for you, because you're a busy mum, you've got to go and cook dinner, you've got to go and collect the kids, you've got to get stuff ready for your children in the morning, and there's no time for you. You always neglect yourself first. So actually,
Definitely.
by scheduling in time, you're saying, well, this half an hour of the day is my time. I'm going to set it aside, and I'm going to make myself feel good. I'm going to start my journal, or I'm going to do some meditation. I'm going to watch some positive videos, whatever it is.
Yeah.
You know,
Whatever works for you.
exactly. And then you can do it. So if you're struggling with your self-confidence, why not start watching some people who you perceive to be confident? What are they doing that you don't think you are? And then when you can start looking at them, maybe you could do 10 minutes every day, and then looking at different people. And then you can start to improve on yourself by implementing some of the things they're doing.
Yeah, definitely.
As soon as you start to mimic them, it will make you feel better, because you'll go,
Yeah.
actually, you might say, oh, I don't feel like I'm as good as them. But actually, the more you're doing it, the better you're going to get at it.
Yeah.
It's all about learning that pattern of behaviour, isn't it, really?
Definitely. And it is just a choice to do it, you know, and it is. And I'm, like I said, I've fallen off the bandwagon as well, you know, I'm being completely honest. And it's something I want to get back into. I still do gratitude daily. And if I don't get up to do the writing of it, I'll still go through it in my head before I get up. So even when you're brushing your teeth, you can just say quickly 10 things at least, you know, that you're grateful for in the morning, or go through a couple of affirmations in the morning. Look at yourself in the mirror, and teeth is a good one, because you've got 2-3 minutes, well, you should be, and you're doing your teeth, you know, you're generally looking in the mirror whilst you're doing it, and that's a great time to kind of tell yourself, say what you're grateful for. So if you're struggling with that time, you're still doing something, because sometimes I think we say, oh, we berate ourselves, then, oh, I snooze, I didn't get up, and that's just a vicious circle, because then you're like, and this all shoulda, woulda, coulda, you know. It is difficult, you know, you don't have to do anything, there's lots of different things. Try them and see what works for you, but also I think try and stick with things as well, because it's all too easy to come and go, I meditated once, it was rubbish, didn't work for me, and that's that. And there's you hear that type of thing so much. And if it makes you feel good, then, you know, keep at it and find those slots. And another good tip, I used to have a friend used to get to the school run early. She used to drive down, sit in a car, meditate for 10 minutes before picking the children up. So she just got into the habit of leaving 10 minutes early, sitting in the car for 10 minutes on her own. So trying to find those little slots, like you said, you know, I used to always do it in the morning. I get back from the school. If I'm walking back from the school, when it's a 20-minute walk, I quite often put on a motivating video to walk back home with, you know, and just trying to incorporate it into your everyday life. If you're in the car, stick something motivating on. You know, music might motivate you anyway, but don't stick the dreary news on, you know, it's going to make you feel rubbish. Stick something on that is going to make you feel a higher vibe and more motivated and just more inspired in yourself, you know. So I say to clients, I had a client who used to walk to work, I haven't got time, just haven't got time. I was like, hello, record yourself, listen to yourself, you walk to work there and back, it's an hour every day, there's a slot, you're not doing anything, so feed your brain, you know.
Definitely. Got another comment there as well. It says, if you're more of a digital person, the Happiness Planner app would be perfect for you. So I've not used that one. Have you used that one?
I've heard of it, I've not used it. I used to use one to record, I can't think of the name of it actually. I did have it written down somewhere, but I can't think of the name of it. But yeah, there's so many apps and stuff out there. You know, there's meditating apps, there's journaling apps, there's affirmation. Yeah, there's just everything. So Think Up app was one that I used to use a little while ago, which was about recording yourself, repeating affirmations, and then listening to those. But I don't think I've used was it Happy Place?
Yeah, Happiness Planner app.
Happiness Planner app. I don't think I've used it.
That would be good for me.
Yeah, I've seen the journal. I've seen the journal, so I obviously presume the app goes along with it. But yeah. Excellent. Thank you.
Is there any other tips that you wanted to pass on, or if anyone has any Katie?
Reminders are a good one as well. Setting little little alarms in your phone throughout the day. So if you've got affirmations or positive statements, which is basically what an affirmation is, you know, setting those on your phone. So I get about 3 reminders a day, and it doesn't distract me because I just glance down. And it's just it's not an alarm, so it just pops up to notification, and it might just say, remember you're amazing, or there's that word again, or whatever it may be, you know, something positive about you, especially if you're going through something that you're struggling with, or I am confident, you know, if you're struggling with confidence, something like that, just 2 or 3 times a day, and just start sinking in, you know. Have little post-it notes, have a printout, you know. I've always got loads of prints around my office and so forth, and they do just start sinking in, you know, subconsciously. So surround yourself with positivity. The phone's a really, really good one. Morning talk's a really good one. What else? Books, you know, reading. There's so much information out there for you to read, but also act on it. You know, I think sometimes we have a habit of reading like, whoa, an amazing book, stick it down, don't give another thought. So try and action something from a book, you know, even if it's just one part of that. But any of these little tips, I think, done consistently that we've spoken about this evening will naturally help you become more confident. And just remember, you know, no one's born necessarily with more confidence than someone else. It's just sometimes I think we get more and more scaredy cats as we get older anyway. And less kind of confident, you know, like my children just ooze this confidence. It's the number one thing I want them to hang on to more than anything, because, you know, I just think you can do anything if you're confident in life, really. But sometimes just tell yourself you are confident, get up there and do it, and then afterwards you can be a bit proud of yourself and go, oh, actually I did that, and I did feel scared, but I've done it. And then you're expanding your brain, you're expanding that comfort zone over and over. So keep pushing, keep showing up, keep doing it, and just smile. That's my top tips. Keep smiling.
That's a really good point. I always say that to my clients. You are not born with a label that says unconfident.
Exactly.
Every baby is born and you're all exactly the same. There's nothing that says that. It's what's going on around you. You pick up things. So before the age of 8 or 9, your mind is purely subconscious. So that's when you're learning all of these things.
Yep.
So until you can change what your subconscious mind has learned, but that's by doing this repeating pattern. So if you want to be confident, just like you said, the mind on your phone that you're seeing all the time, your mind is then learning a new pattern. Oh, actually, I am confident. I am confident, because you've seen it that much, you've learned it. Your mind does it naturally. Then it's
exactly
your pattern. So I love that one. That's good.
Yeah, it's a good one.
Super. Well, if we haven't got any more questions, then I think that's it. So thank you for all your help. I know there was one more thing you wanted to talk about, because you've got something going on exciting at the moment that you're doing.
Just launched most of a million different things, but I've just launched a sales funnel course. So if anyone's looking to become more visible, a sales funnel is just a different strategy to become more visible and show up for those clients. I'm not going to bombard you now with more, because you've all hung out with us for long enough. But if you want more information, I've got a free masterclass if you wanted to find out exactly what a sales funnel is and how it can help you become more visible and show it to more of your clients. And then if anyone is interested, I've also got a course going on. I'll drop the links below, and then if anyone's interested, you can just check them out. And it's 50% off at the moment as well, but you can just check them out below if it's something that you'd like to learn a little bit more about.
And it's quite a good starting point as well if you are a bit more worried about being visible out there, because rather than having to be live on a video, Katie can obviously teach you about sales funnels, so you can be live, like visible for your audience without necessarily having to be live on a video. So
yeah, and it's all kind of automated, so once it's set up once, just runs in the background for you. The idea being showing up to those ideal clients and nurturing them in a way that is on autopilot. So it's a great kind of starting point, definitely, and it's something that's set up and just runs in the background. So yeah, definitely drop me a message if you want more information, but I will share the links below as well.
Yeah, super. And she is on Instagram as well, so definitely give her a follow on there. Cool.
I'm everywhere. Just search Katie Colella.
All right. Well, thank you for talking.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you for watching. See you later. Take care. Bye.